All right, everybody, we are back with another episode of Wealth for the Culture. I have Sin Miller with me. She does career services, professional development. She does all the whole nine as far as helping people, black people more specifically, get jobs and increase their salaries in the workforce. So just start off. How you doing, Sin?
Good. Thank you for having me, Ollie. I'm doing well today. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm great. So normally the way we start these off is I like to just kind of dive into your background, how you got started, what you do, and just your upbringing and stuff like that.
Okay, perfect. So I was raised in Compton, California. Me and my business partner started our business back in June of 2018. He was raised in West Africa, Senegal. And so we both came from neighborhoods to where, the Black economic buying power or the Black economic disparity was at an all time high. My background was in recruiting. And so when I was recruiting for different positions and I was seeing those who are getting hired, because I'm, privy to the process, I realized that a lot of Black people were missing out on opportunities of getting hired for very simple mistakes that were made on their resume or not knowing how to sell themselves in interviewing and things like that. And so when me and my business partner kind of deliberated on how we can address that, we decided that we wanted to be a part of the solution and create a company that focused it on zero to low cost professional development services geared towards the Black community exclusively. And so we did just that in June of 2018. We opened Black on the Job. To date, we have $27 million in salary increases and raises. Since June of 2018, our entire team is Black. Right now, we staff 27 employees, half of them located here in the United States, and the other half between Kenya, Senegal, and Nigeria. And so we
Okay.
just keep it rolling. We provide free resources, community services, such as interviewing courses and things like that. We have a lot of templates and resources that we provide our community, and then we have our services. And when we say low cost, our resume reviews are $25. So we want to make sure that we provide services that the average Black person can afford. And sometimes that is free, right? And so in our Facebook group, we provide a lot of free services on our Instagram, a lot of free resources. So you can learn about a whole lot of different fields. Out of that $27 million in salary increases, $6 million came from people using free services.
Oh wow. So I guess more so, how did you kind of get started in this? Like, I know you said you have a partner. Like, I
Yes.
understand you with this idea. Like, what was some of the challenges y'all faced, and like some of the things y'all did start? Because I know you mentioned the Facebook community.
Yeah, so we started off with our Facebook group, which we still have to this day. We love, 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 love the Hive. The way that we got started with this was providing $10 resumes.
Oh wow.
So our prices to get a resume review and revision when we first came out of the gate was $10. And what happened was is that we did a resume review and revised someone's resume for $10, and she ended up getting a job at the number one law firm in the United States, and that kind of made us go like a little bit viral in the
Okay.
Facebook world because people were like, "Wait, hold up! Someone got a $60,000 raise from a $10 resume," and then it was just up there from there.
Wow, that's crazy. And so, just real quick, I know you mentioned like resumes and stuff like that, but can you kind of break down like all the different things that your company does? I know I saw I was looking the other like career services, all type of little things of that nature that just like you wouldn't think of. And I mean, I've researched other resume companies and they're not doing nearly as much as y'all got going on.
Thank you. Okay, so we offer the whole gamut. So we do resume review. It is a 30-minute consultation where you'll speak with someone who looks like you. They'll break down where your resume is, does it meet industry standard, what items you need to address to get it where you want it to go. That's $25 is a 30-minute consultation. We call it an experience because, imagine talking to someone who looks like you about the disparities of your workplace, speaking with someone who is in professional development that let's say they're white, you're like, actually, I'm here halfway because of your people. So it's more of an experience, our resume review and revision service. After that, our favorite and our most hailed is our career coaching, where we address of course, salary, region, top paying skills. But more importantly, we also talk about, okay, in your area, let's say you're in Detroit, Michigan. Okay, we know these companies in your area are known for different acts of racism based off how many people that we service. So we're gonna also find, the best, of course, as we can, but black friendly employment. So because we work with over 500, we call our members jobbies, 500 Bs a month, we kind of are privy to what's going on in different workspaces, and we collect that data to edify our community.
Wow.
I hope that
No.
okay. And then we have LinkedIn. I don't even go through the services. Then we have LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of the number one networking platforms, and this is a platform that a lot of Black professionals may not know the importance of. So we go over LinkedIn review, where we can kind of review your LinkedIn and let you know how it stands up to others. Or we have our LinkedIn profile development, where it's kind of like a set it and forget it. You get information, and we set up your LinkedIn profile for you.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of people I know when I was in college, I know they were mentioning like that was like a requirement for us to even graduate. We had to make a LinkedIn. It's like, can you kind of just briefly talk on like the importance of LinkedIn? Because I don't think a lot of people understand how powerful a tool that is.
Of course. So LinkedIn is one of the recruiting platform. People are using LinkedIn like a professional Facebook, to where employers can kind of see your personality in a professional setting. It is where more of the higher paying jobs are at. So if you're looking for, let's say, and I'll give you an example, an administrative assistant job. Let's say, for instance, you're in Atlanta, Georgia, you're searching on your own, Indeed, Monster, things like that. You're going to get a salary range of maybe $12 to $14 an hour. However, that same job will be on LinkedIn, but companies who use LinkedIn have to pay a premium that's a little bit higher than Indeed and Monster. So because they're paying that higher cost, they're looking for a little bit better talent. So they're paying a lot more. So that same job could be on LinkedIn for $18 to $21 an hour.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that, because I know a lot of times we're so quick to go through the like you mentioned, like the Indeeds, the Monsters. I think back in the day, I even used like something called ZipRecruiter at one point.
Okay.
So yeah, I never really knew it was that kind of difference between using LinkedIn and just browsing online on your own. And so I know you mentioned like a multitude of things that y'all do.
Sorry.
And, no, that's all. It's all good, because I really was shocked like when I see it, because I never really heard of I've only heard like one other person that in the Black space doing like a resume company, and I didn't really know it was money to be made out there from doing this. And just a sidebar real quick, like you were saying that y'all have employees here and like internationally. So y'all have like multiple branches I saw. How do y'all go about like hiring your staff and stuff? Are these like contractors, or are these like permanent employees that y'all bring on and vet and stuff?
Oh, that's a good question. So we have a few different ways. We work with Focus Point Consulting out in Phoenix, Arizona. Ashley Anderson and her team does all of our domestic hiring. I told you my business partner is from West Africa, Senegal. So he flew out to Senegal and did the recruitment process for Senegal, of course, kind of, worked with a local news station, things like that, got the word out, and kind of had a hiring event for Senegal. That's how we got our Senegalese employees. And quite shockingly, our Kenyan employees, they were in our Facebook group when we first started. And so when we started the company, they're like, hey, what can we do? And I said, can you help me write resumes? Because at the time when we first started, me, my chief of staff, and another person who had started with us, we were writing the resumes ourselves. Quite honestly, we didn't get our Senegalese team, our Kenyan team after year one. So when our Kenyan friend came to us out of the Facebook group saying, hey, is there something in Black on the job I can do? I'm looking for a job. It's not a lot of jobs out here in Kenya. I was like, sure, let me teach you how to write resumes.
That is crazy. And it's crazy because it's all stemmed from just a Facebook community that y'all got started. And I know you mentioned how much did you mention? You said y'all offer the free services, and you said there people are getting results immediately off of those. I think which said like 6 million or something like that.
Yeah, $6 million. Yeah.
That is, man. Let me just salute to you first off, and just even being able to help out our, especially with just helping out our people in general. And what I like to ask you is because I like to go into like the business aspect of things. Like, so I mean, I would assume it's like pretty common. Some people are good at writing resumes and stuff like that. So what is kind of branch out? What are like some of the challenges that like you and your partner specifically face, like when getting this actually rolling to like, turn it into like a full on business?
Well, when I first started off, I was still working full time. I actually worked full time until year 20, 18, 19, 21. Maybe I didn't quit my job until I quit my job 9 months after we started the business, and that's because business was booming. Um,
Okay.
and I was not no longer a good employee because I was working this there.
Yeah.
I would say that the reason why we got started is the need, right? So when we first started, I was just thinking that we can write a few resumes for $10,
Mhm.
and help a few people, and then we can give everybody else just free stuff, right? And then everybody just kept inboxing us, kept asking us, kept inboxing us. Hey, can you do my resume too? Can you do my resume too? And so the very first week that we started the business, we had, I think, like 20 people, right? So 20 people signed up, wanted to get their resumes done. After that was week one. The thing is that with resumes, let's say for instance, it takes 4 to 6 weeks after you get your resume for you to get hired on. So what happened was is that a month after we opened at that $10 rate, the people that we helped the previous month start posting our famous "I got the job." That's how that hashtag came about, and
Okay.
our slogan came about. So many people were posting. So let's say we're doing 20 a week, right? So 20, 40, 60, 80. Half of them post. That's 40. So that means every single day you're in this group, you see, "I got a job post, I got a job post, I got a job post." So then what do you want to do? Hell, I need the job too. So
Yep.
by month two, we had over 200 appointments. And so that's when I was like, okay, I made a Facebook post and I said, all right, so we can't keep doing this at $10 an hour because I can't pay the team. We're splitting this $5, $5. Um, so what I can do though is if we can go to a price of 99 bucks, everyone can get their resume. I can pay the team 50 bucks a resume and we're all set. The industry standard for the price of a resume, an entry level resume, is about $499. I also pulled that information. We have a big thing about transparency within our group. So, and everyone knows that we're really big on transparency, really, 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 really big. So, I pulled the numbers. Hey, the average resume is $500. We're going to charge 99 bucks. This is where we're going to be able to use the money. I could put 50 dollars a resume back into the business, you guys, and we can all do this together, and I could pay the team $50 a resume for their time. What do you guys think about that? Let's take a vote. And so we took a vote at Black on the Job, and that's when we had about 300 members, and about 90% was down for it, and Black on the Job was born.
Man, that's crazy. That's powerful because I like the aspect that you took because a lot of people don't really consider their customer base. A lot of people just kind of just run with it and figure it out as they go. And you took it upon yourself to kind of include the people, so it created almost like a family environment for them to make the feel like they was a part of it as well. So I definitely, and you said that's free, so I definitely recommend. I'll be recommending people to come into that because a lot of times on this podcast, we talk about entrepreneurship, but people don't realize like most of the time to get started, you need a job. So that's the
Right.
first
And
step.
I'm very, very, very clear, and I encourage this beyond measure, is that the very first thing you will ever need is a job.
Mhm. Yeah, because and that's I'm glad that's why you're doing this, because it's just something that a lot of, especially nowadays, we're starting to see like the entrepreneurship LLC type deal on social media and stuff is going crazy right now. And I guess a lot of people, are starting to think like, oh, I just need to go the entrepreneurship route. So I mean, I just want everybody that's listening to this just to not take this for granted. Like a job is still the first step because a lot of people that get started, even if they are entrepreneurs, like you said, when you started this, you still had a job. You were still working your 9 to 5. So just for people to take that into consideration, even if they do want to go to the entrepreneurship route. Now, your main thing was the resumes. Can you kind of just break down some like some key tips for people that's out there? Because I know you like what's some keys to like when writing a resume or how to improve the resumes or something like of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things is that just like any other industry, the resume industry has lots of changes. Um, and so with that being said, is that because the industry has a lot of changes, the standard of what goes on a resume changes as well. So one of the biggest examples is like when I was doing recruiting, I could tell how old someone is if they use the word objective on their resume. So if you had my objective or objective, and then you put something like, to obtain a position where I can utilize my skills to the best of my ability, blah, 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 blah. That was known for people who haven't got their resume done since the early 2000s. So as a recruiter, I automatically assume that you don't take your career that seriously because you haven't updated this thing in over 10 years. And I know that because if you would have known that that's not something we even use anymore.
Okay. I didn't even know that myself. You put me on game.
You see,
Oh
something
man.
like that. But when's the last time you updated your resume?
Shoot. I barely have to because I just kind of I've been on St. Clair for like a couple years now, so it
Okay.
kind of
So you see
just
what
when
I'm
I
saying? It
yeah
will work in your case as well. I would have known right away you haven't touched this thing in a while.
yeah that makes sense though. So for how your team goes about it, can you kind of just walk me through the process? Like, what can somebody expect? Like, let's say they pay for what was the $25, kind of sit down and go through their resume. Like, what's that process like? Like, what are y'all calling out for them?
That's perfect. That's a great question. So the first step, of course, in our process is our resume review. So you go to our website, you'll pick a time and date that works for you. We use Acuity scheduling, and you'll be scheduled with one of our resume review specialists. All of them being Black women. We do have Black men that work with us, but they're usually on the recruiting, operations, and design team. Our women make up our resume review specialists. So you
Okay.
get a call by a Black woman. She will have your resume pulled out in front of her because you have to fill out an intake sheet to sign up for the appointment. And she's going to go over your entire resume from top to bottom, show ways it can be improved. She's going to be taking notations on your resume, right? And she will also let you know that, at the end of the call, if you want to move forward with getting us to rewrite your resume, this would be the cost. But the notes that she took on your resume, she will email out to you within 24 to 48 hours. So you're still going to walk away with something tangible and you'll get that phone call whether or not you buy a resume from us. That's still standard within our company. So even if you don't buy anything, that $25 is still going to get you a product. And from that $25 product, we have over $2 million in salary increases. So 2 million of our salary increases is solely because someone booked a resume review, took the notes that we said, and fixed their resume on their own.
And that's what you charge 25. You charge 25 for all of that?
Mm-hmm.
Hey man, yeah, I'm gonna definitely refer some people to you because that I like I said, I've only seen it like super expensive things of that nature for resumes. I've never seen nothing that cost effective. So that's definitely something to consider. Now, okay, another aspect. I
And
know
I
you
want to go
said
over our resume revision pricing. So if you want us to rewrite your resume, we have student pricing, which is 125, and
mhm,
then the highest cost resume is our federal resumes, which are 275. But if you're like a judge, we charge 225. If you're like a admin assistant, 150. So our prices are nowhere near like the prices of industry standard.
so I guess you base it off of I guess what the job that they're going for entails.
Yes, so that we can,
Okay.
and that's we consider that as fair as we can be because then we're making your resume as intricate as that industry needs, and so we're pacing it off of that. But we also factor in cost. So, say for instance, you were someone, let's say you worked at McDonald's and you went back to school and now you have your project management certification and you want a job as a project manager. Our project manager resume start at 175, but now that we've taken your income into consideration, we have to give you student low income pricing, which will be 125. So we also have that as well. We can't just charge our people based off what job they're looking to get because sometimes they're doing a career change and they may not be able to afford that salary that's over there, which is why they're held. That's the reason why they're trying to switch careers anyway. So I ain't gonna knock you while you're down.
No, most definitely, and not. And when you mention that, I'm glad you hit on that because a lot of times it's the thing of everybody's kind of like, oh, they charge for this and they charge for that. But at the end of the day, you still running a business. You still have costs and expenses. You still want to make a profit because you still got to make a living. But at the same time, you helping other people make a living, but you also being cost effective. And to me, you don't see that often, especially nowadays. There's a lot of like gripe from people coming out like, oh, they charging too much for this, they charge too much for that. And the goal, I guess, per se, for most people that's even buying into y'all services is to try to go make some money. So it might be on their last leg. So the fact that you got it structured to where you considering the person like what their situation is, and having discounts like you said for students and things of that nature, that's definitely huge and that's definitely big. And I just got to commend you, man. It's crazy because you just don't see this type of stuff, especially for our people. Let's focus and gear just towards us. And so that's what I want to say is like real big, and that's what drew me to your platform actually.
Thank you. And I will say that, I really don't agree where everyone is like yelling out, charge what you're worth, charge what you're worth. I get it and I hear you, but sometimes your work is way lower than industry standards because you just got started. You feel me? When we first started resumes, everybody's standard was $499. And although I have been a recruiter for 10 years and I knew how to write a resume, I can't come out the gate fresh as a new business talking about $499 for a resume. I don't
No,
have the operating costs. I don't have the structure and things that are necessary for that. Another thing is that every year we post our profit and loss statement in the group, so they know exactly how much money we brought in as a company and where that money was spent. And we use that as a learning opportunity for people who are starting new businesses. Last year, 15% of our income, our expenses, I'm sorry, 15% of our expenses, 1.5 went towards marketing. That includes photo shoots, that includes Facebook ads, all of that. 30% of our revenue went towards operational costs, our CRM, our customer service, all that stuff. 40% of our revenue went towards payroll. So when I was speaking to the group and to our Bs, we let them know our money is going right back into this community. I'm hiring single mothers. Military spouses. I'm hiring the LGBTQIA plus community. I'm hiring persons with disabilities. Like I'm hiring the people who are not going to get hired, number one. And number two, I'm not spending all this money on photo shoots, despite what your Facebook business coach told you to do. Your money needs to be spent in operational costs, customer service strategies, things like that, so that we can start breaking some of the stigmas that our community have of like, oh, they're always late, their website's always down, stuff like that. I don't want Black on the job to have that type of reputation. And I'm very big on that. Oh, sorry for going into a tangent.
Oh no, hey, it's all good. I it's crazy because that what you're saying is just true. It's just nothing but facts, honestly. Because and that's a lot of the negative connotations sometimes that we'll give starting a business. A lot of us do want to charge because I've had this argument with a couple of my friends actually. Like we're just starting out entrepreneurship journey, and we want to charge what we seeing everybody because you see somebody else does what is you like a trainer? Like you'll see the trainers out there like for LeBron, they're making millions of dollars, but then it's like, oh, you think that you can come out the gates charging that and you haven't really built up a rapport with your people or anything like that. And like you were mentioning, you started this off free services, $10 resumes, and you scale from there. And the scaling, yeah. you can, and what's different for you because you might be the epitome of transparency. Like I see a lot of transparent people, but for you to drop profit and loss and all that, like a lot of people don't even do that. They feel like it's not necessary for you to be counting my pockets or anything like that. So for you to put that out there to your people and everybody and let them know like this is what this is the full breakdown. And not only can it inspire somebody that might just be getting started on their own, it'll show everybody else in the group that look like this is what it is. And so don't feel like you're getting robbed or anything like that, or this is what you're paying for and this is what you're getting. So I gotta
right. Thank you. And that's something that I was when we posted our profit and loss statement. That's something a lot of business owners who are new to business and even old to business, they really appreciate it because they was like, "Then no one told me how much I should be spending on marketing." And I let them know, like, I can't tell you how much. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I know your business. I'm just saying that for my business, like, I'm not going to spend all that money on marketing. I'm just not going to do it. And I was like, because I work in economic justice, I work in community based. So it makes no sense for me to get all this money in from the community and spend it on Facebook ads. Like, y'all need to talk telling folks to get their resumes done. Am I doing a resume and gotta pay for y'all to tell about the resume? And so, we laughed about it and stuff, but I thought it's y'all's responsibility to spread this. I'm not paying for Facebook ads. I'm not doing none of that. I'll say, because the minute I have to start paying for Facebook ads, these prices going up.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And I just want to double back because I know you mentioned for your team that builds resumes. So when they're building these resumes, I guess do you have like specific writers or resume reviewers or whatever you would categorize them as? Are they like industry specific?
So we do have some that are for more niche industries. So the person who does federal resumes, it's only one, well, two of them. We have Susan and Ray. So Susan and Ray only does federal resumes. So if there's a federal resume, it only goes to them. We have people who only do, like if an engineer or IT resume, there's a specific person on the team that can only do those. But the rest of and healthcare resumes, we have specific people who can do nursing and things like that. So we do have that built out for some of the more niche fields.
Okay. And when we start breaking off into like I know you mentioned like you do coaching and stuff. Like, is that like, I guess you would, because what I'm thinking of is like you would take them through, LinkedIn, I guess mock job interviews, things of that nature. Is that kind of what it's structured towards?
Yeah, so we have a mock interview services that, of course, is going to have that type of structure. And then for our LinkedIn review, we go over their LinkedIn together. Our LinkedIn profile development is what we call our bougie service, to where you just pay us and we do all the work, and then we tell you, and then you let us know how well we did. So that service is a little bit different because all of our other services are way more interactive, right? So the mock interview you have to be present for, the resume review, the career coaching, all those services you need to be present for. But this service is kind of unique because you don't have to be present for that service, the LinkedIn profile development. And so what happens is after we develop the profile, we set up a secondary conversation where we show you how to network on LinkedIn. And that's just a free, little additional situation to kind of, I can't just build you something you don't know how to use it type thing.
Okay. And
well, in my opinion.
No, honestly, like I'm glad the way you putting this makes complete sense. And I never, like I said, I ain't came across nobody. Well, I really don't know like a couple people in this industry, like resumes and career services. Because something I think a lot of like us, we don't. There's like we don't take advantage of. Like if we do go to college, most of us don't take advantage of this. Like that's offered on campus, so it's kind of nice to be able to like get out in the real world and have a community of people, and that's what you guys set up. Where not only because a lot of people don't just charge, and you have a whole community set up that's got the free resources for people if they want to go take it on their own. Like you said, you got the bougie service too, where hey, just pay us, a premium, we'll do it for you. And then your premium is and the crazy thing is your premium is still the same quality as everybody else's premium, but it's the cost of everybody else's standard. So to me, that just
what's interesting, and then from the business owner perspective, like of course, like I've met people in our industry, things like that. I get a lot of slack for our pricing structure because they consider me watering down the market, which I 100% agree. I am watering down the market, and it's purposeful because the market is not set up with the fellow Negro in mind. So you're right. I am watering down the market, but that is some of the negatives we hear. I hear people say things all the time in this industry, like, yeah, I lost another customer to Black on the job. But I let them know before I came on the scene, you guys weren't catered towards Black people. You guys are only catered towards elite Black people who can afford $999 for a resume. That's not the case for most Black people. So, my services may be, way less than your services are. And so you're not getting as much of a Black clientele. But these, you guys are the same business owners who used to say, I'm not working with the ghetto. And so now I'm saying, give me your ghetto. Now it's a problem because now you're realizing that this is creating the best return on investment type customer. Because once I elevate your career once, when you're ready to elevate it again, who are you going to go to?
Exactly. And on top of that, they can stay in touch with your community too. So
exactly. So a lot of customers that we got in year 2020 were what we end up, and it's not a lot, but 20%, 21% of our revenue in year 2020 came from return customers from 2018.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to ask how did y'all kind of fare through the pandemic and stuff.
We did, and that is what saved us. That actually is what boosted our business because all of our customers from 2018 who received jobs based off of our $10 resumes, they came back. And the great thing about it is that they came back with no complaints of the new pricing. They're just like, hey, Sin,
That's
you
great.
helped me back when you first started, and I've been at my job for 2 years now. Can you update my resume? Or hey, Sin, that is where a lot of our money came from. It's just that, hey, I've been at my job for 2 years. Is it time to update my resume? Yep, it sure is. Come back on around. Let us update it. And hey, we have new services since we first started. We have courses too. Dr. Miller, she is my sister and also a professor at UCLA at curriculum development. And so she created our courses, interviewing while Black, negotiating while Black, leading while Black, and stressing while Black. And then my chief of staff created some analytical courses on how to become an analyst. So, and those courses are $49 and you have lifetime access and they're on the Teachable platform. So a lot of our customers from 2018 bought a lot of our courses.
Okay, so y'all got a whole school set up as well. Okay, that's crazy. So,
Yes.
oh yeah, y'all do it. Y'all got it all. Y'all done broke it all the way down. I do have a question though. So you say y'all do like is negotiation, like is that like salary negotiations?
Yes, and contracts. So a lot of business owners take our salary negotiation courses to learn how to do contracts because we go over, how to do that as well.
Now, I don't even know you can explain it, but real brief, like quick, what are your recommendations of like going into salary negotiations? Because a lot of people I know, they don't even, I talk to a lot of people about like, I don't really talk about their pay, but we just talk about like the salary negotiation phase. And most people I know don't really even, they feel like they're afraid to even go into that realm or that world because they feel like they'll lose out on the job.
Right. So one thing I always tell people is that as a recruiter, I want you to know that the company has what's called a stretch. So I want you to think about it like if you were going, I don't know, I only have hood analogies. But
Hey, it's all good. That's pretty much who listened in anyway. It's all good. Go ahead, give it to me.
so say for instance, you was going to go buy some DVDs out of some, you go to the store, you got the guy who pop open his truck and he got DVDs. And you say something like, I got 3 for 12. And you're like, well, can you do, if you're doing 3 for 12, can you do maybe 4 for 12? And you sitting there, you going back and forth with them like, well, okay, yeah, that's a little high. I'm used to paying 4 for 12, not 3 for 12. But if you go ahead and do that, I'll get 3 for 12, my 4 for 12, and I'll make sure my homie gets 4 for 12. So he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that deal. I'll do that deal. The thing is that recruiters work on the same thing. We get a stretch. So let's say, for instance, a company hires us to recruit for an admin assistant role. They're going to say, okay, I can pay anywhere between $12 and the max I'm willing to pay for this position is $16 an hour. So most recruiters is going to hit you with the 12.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're still within the stretch. And anything that from the 12 to the 16, let's say you accept 12, that $4 an hour for 1 year is what the recruiter gets for a bonus. So they want to get you as low as close to the low end of that stretch to get their bonus. But as long as you're within that range, you're going to get a bonus regardless. That's number one. Number two, they are lazy. They went through this entire process with you, turned down other candidates already. In order for them to start that entire process over, they're going to lose money. So negotiation is important for that reason. Another thing is I tell people, if you're new to negotiation, you don't got to start off with negotiating your salary. Try starting off negotiating your work from home days, negotiating your sick days, maybe negotiating what healthcare plan, your bonuses, your tips, things like that. Even if you're not that comfortable with salary, maybe one of those other areas would be a little bit more beneficial for you.
I'm glad you mentioned that because this honestly, he's schooling me right now because these are just some things I never even considered. Like I didn't really think about negotiating no salary until like the job I have now, and I mean it worked out because I did ask for more than what they were offering originally, but I never really thought about even just going into a fact of negotiating like working from home or other things like that or benefits bonuses. That never really crossed my mind. It's kind of just like, oh, you get this job and you just happy to get the job and you don't realize the work ain't done. It's to get an effective pay as well.
Yeah, I will say this. One thing that we have to understand is most schools, if you have young kids at home, most schools either have an early release day or a late release day, right? Early, like they get a late start date or early release. You either, coming in Tuesday at 11, or the kids are getting off at noon on a Thursday or something like that, right? You've heard of that before?
Yes, ma'am.
I always tell, especially single mothers, that that's the day that you need to negotiate for a work from home day. Because what happens is that we don't have the daycare center or something like that lined up for this early release or late start days. And so these are points being dinged against you every time this happens. And then I've seen a lot of Black mothers lose their job just because the child's school has a system set up. So those are the days that I need to say, hey, I'm not going to go in the interview and say my son gets out, or my son has a late start on Wednesday, so no. I go in and I say, hey, once a week I like to remote work from home just because of the commute, things like that. And so I'm thinking that maybe on Wednesdays would that be possible to where I can work from home. That way I got time to go pick up my kid, and nobody needs to be in my business. No one's, oh, here she go every week, gotta go pick up her son. No, you ain't have to be in my business.
Hey, you really hitting on some stuff right now, though. I got a question for you, and this is just off base. What is your thoughts on like the racial wealth gap? I know that's been a thing that's been circling around for a few months now, really heavy on like social media and stuff. What are your thoughts on that?
Like how big the gap is.
Yeah, like I saw. I can't
So
remember the exact numbers, but it
I
was
think it's
crazy.
32 cents on a dollar. So I definitely understand it's a huge racial wealth gap, and that's something that Black on the Job tries to work to close. Um, the thing is that I believe that the racial wealth gap has a lot to do with us just not knowing. We're raised in a community that tells us not to talk about salary. Obama was the first president that came into office and made it illegal for a company to tell you couldn't talk about salary. He's the first um, president to address that. But because we're not talking about salary, we don't know what a certain job is supposed to pay. And so that lack of knowledge keeps us underpaid. I have seen, heard, and know of many Black people who work right next to their white counterparts and or other people, other races, and they're getting paid half or less than half to do the same job. But because they never talked about, well, how much do you make? How much do you make? They didn't know that until that came up, right? So I have a friend right now who boss has made the insinuation because she just got a new boss. Her old boss got promoted, and her new boss was like, "Oh, I was looking at your salary, and I was wondering, why you get paid so much less than this department here." And so my friend was like, "Well, I'm not for sure because I didn't know how much they made, but that's the department that I trained." And the manager was like, "Huh?" And she's a Black woman. And she told her, she was like, "I'm being honest with you. I can't tell you how much less you're making than them, but I want you to know that it's extremely substantial. We're not talking about a dollar or two." And so she told her that I need for you to write a letter asking for a performance review. And so my friend wrote that letter and asked for performance review. And after they did the performance review, the managers agreed that she was, 10 out of 10 in her performance. She followed that up with a salary negotiation letter that I gave her. And she actually ended up getting a 25% raise. So it's
Wow.
just that
Oh,
a
wow.
lack of knowledge. You get what I'm saying?
Yes. No, that's definitely true because I do understand that's a big thing, especially in the Black community. Is like a lot of us don't even know what we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being the case, you don't even know how to go about even maneuvering, and you can't get mad at anybody usually because they wasn't taught or they don't know either. So now it's just a big cycle of we all just are in the dark, and it takes
Mm-hmm.
somebody like the lady you mentioned to come and bring that expose that, and then now
Mm-hmm.
not only have they exposed it, they got you to come to help them get all that situated with like the documentation and putting that in writing to kind of address those
Exactly.
issues in a way where it's not oh, the angry Black person going off. It could be more of about let's do
Right.
it about a book and get it and actually get some results instead of just looking like the crazy person, and men might end up out of a job. So
Exactly.
and I just want to pivot because I would just pivot to this last section. I always break down, 5 questions I ask all my guests. So we'll just pivot on this because I know you got a busy schedule, and I appreciate you once again for coming on and giving me your time. But I'll just start off. My first question is just, what does wealth look like to you?
So wealth to me is, oh, that was good. Okay. What I always tell people is that I consider wealth to be a convenience. So I'm not pushing Black people to make more money because I think that all of us need Gucci bags, which I also believe that I need as well. But I'm pushing it for convenience. I need for convenience and comfortability and choices, right?
Mhm.
Wealth brings about privilege. So even though I don't have the privilege of white people, I understand that in my blackness, because of how I've structured, my finances, I have a privilege. I'll give you an example of a privilege. A privilege for me is um, my car broke down. I have a Mercedes Benz GLK 350. My Benz broke down, um, and I literally left it where it was. Had AAA come and get it. Took a Uber home and hopped into a BMW. That's convenience.
All right.
You get what I'm saying? I didn't think in my head. It didn't. I didn't think in my head like, oh my god, I can't get to work. I can't do this. I was more annoyed. Like, oh, now this is gonna take 30 minutes out of my day. That's a privilege and a convenience. I want Black people to be in higher paid positions so they have the convenience of I'm not going to work today. You know, so they can take mental health days off when we're looking at police shooting and police brutality. You may need that mental day off, but if you're working in an hourly or production based environment that doesn't value you because you're working at a low skilled or low wage job, you won't be able to take that time off.
That's a fact.
What that looks like is your child may have a learning disability, but you work two jobs and you don't understand that your child has a learning disability. So now your child is failing at school. And because your child is failing at school, you beating your child ass because you don't realize that your child has a learning disability. You get what I'm saying? Because your child's in some school where a teacher has 40 students and can't give your child the attention that they need. So that's one less child that has a full ride scholarship. So for me, wealth is about that.
Okay, that's hey, comfortability. Now, my next question is just always ask everybody for a book recommendation. Something you think will be of value to the people.
Oh, so right now I'm reading this book that's called Everyone Should Be Millionaires by Rachel Rogers.
Okay.
Just came out. It's a New York bestseller. She's super dope. She does a lot for the community. She teaches Black business owners how to sell high price events and workshops. So everyone should check her out. She has a really great system and she has a podcast as well.
Okay. And now my next question: what failure taught you the most?
You said what?
What failure taught you the most?
The failure that taught me the most was my first business partner who came to me when I first started Black on the job. It was me, my current business partner, and that person. And she ended up stealing half the money and a whole bunch of other stuff when we first started. And all of it came about because I did not have my paperwork together. Trademarks, LLCs, all that stuff. I had left that up for her to do. Just, being lazy, saying, oh, I let somebody else handle it. You get what I'm saying? Not being on top of
Yeah.
my business in that way. And so I always tell business owners, I now let me be clear. Do not just go to any of these attorneys who say they can do trademarks and all of that stuff, because a lot of them, we have to understand that business attorneys do not go to school to learn trademarks. It has to be an additional set of schooling done on their own certifications. And this is what I learned the hard way. But having your paperwork together, your LLC, your EIN, your trademark, and your finances, a CPA, an accountant, or something like that is super important.
Okay.
Because
No,
you know what
that's
I'm saying? I
definitely
own
important.
my businesses and all variances of it.
No, that's definitely important because, and that's crazy that happened to you that way. But I mean, at the end of the day, it ain't stop you, and that's something else I think
Mm-mm.
people should take away from that. Like, yeah, it was a setback, but it don't even matter in the bigger picture because of where you at right now.
Amen. Amen. You know what? And it was my favorite failure. I absolutely will call it my favorite failure.
No, that's
Because
crazy.
one thing
That's
you know about me, two things for sure. I own any name of anything I come out with, I own it. So, from our signature Hey Be Hey to Black on the Job to Jobby Academy to Admin Stand to our logos, all of that's trademark, all of our resources are copyrighted. So none of it can be reproduced, none of it at all. I had a
Oh
school
yeah.
that almost got sued by us for reproducing some of our resources. And I was like, that's trademark.
Man, a whole school? Yeah.
Yeah, put that down. That's trademark. That's mine. That's copyrighted. You can't use that. That's mine. You didn't ask permission. I don't care what child going to the school.
All right. The next question is, what is one thing you think the Black community needs to improve on?
I think that sometimes we've been hurt so much by people in the Black community that we have a tendency to write each other all the way off. And from the business owner perspective, I'm tired of us writing us off, saying, if you're a business owner listening and you look at your clientele, and if you're saying in your head, I don't know why Black people don't shop with me or don't use my services, it's you. Black people, we go off our feelings, our vibes, what you're getting off. If you as a Black person cannot obtain Black business, they don't trust you. We don't trust you. You're fraudulent. You're not doing things correctly. If you're having a difficult time as a Black person finding Black customers, it's not because we're all poor. It's not that at all. It's because of your variances and the way you look at Black people and how that's showing up in your business model. So that may be showing up in your customer service. It may be showing up in your website. They probably don't see not one Black person on your website. And so they don't even know if, their kind is welcome. So if you are having issues getting Black customers, it's because you're not showing up authentically Black.
Okay.
And from
And
the customer
lastly,
service, I was saying from the customer side of point of view, if you are a customer who say you don't shop at Black businesses because all Black businesses are ghetto or late or something like that, you need to understand how you're showing up in spaces too, and how you're going to face a higher level of discrimination, racism, and uncomfortability because you are refusing to go to the community that raised you. And so that's a two-edged sword. On both sides, the customer and the business owner, we need to look at each other and kind of build that connection a little bit better. Because I have 100% Black staff and I only have 100% Black customers.
and if anything, you showing that it can be done. So ain't no excuse with that. Because a lot of people, I'm glad you mentioned that. Because a lot of people ask me all the time, like, why do I get this? While everybody listens, any race, I like to bring on only Black guests. And I say, and I do that for a specific reason. There's nothing to be like to miss out on anybody. It's mainly because a lot of times we don't get to see our own out here being successful unless it's sports, music or something like that. So I just like to show that it's possible to go, be a millionaire doing real estate. It's possible to go,
Exactly.
some industries that you don't even you didn't even think that you could make, good money doing, maybe dispatching or even doing resume and career services. Like these are just things it might seem like the boring things and you might not think you can make money from them, but it's a whole bag out here that you can go get if you'll just be willing to put in that work. And that's just why, that's very powerful. That's why I do it. So, I mean, I just, I'm glad you hit on that. Now, for the last thing, I just want to know, can you just tell everybody where they can find you? Because you got 10 different platforms you mentioned with the school and the Facebook community.
If you go to blackonthejob.co, not com.co, you can also find us on Facebook, Black on the Job, Instagram, Black on the Job, Twitter, Black on the Job. We have a clubhouse, Black on the Job. So as long as you type in Black on the Job, you will be able to find us. Our official website is .co though. So www.blackonthejob.co.
Okay, and I'll have all that in the show notes for everybody if they want to go tap in. Matter of fact, what I'm gonna do is I'll at least, $25. I'll pay for two people. I'll sponsor two people to get their resumes reviewed. If you got two people in your community, I'll do that.
Oh, perfect. I'll send you. Perfect. That would be perfect. I'll send you our website link. We have a donation box at the bottom, and you can let us know if you want the person to know, if you donated or not. Sometimes, they will write you a letter or even an email because you never know. Your $25 could be a $50,000 raise for somebody.
I'll do that. Just send me that information. And,
absolutely.
Yeah. But once again, I just want to thank you for coming on. We've been trying to get this set up for a minute, and
I know. And I apologize. We have our religious obligation, Ramadan. And so I just came out of Ramadan, and so my assistant kind of closed down my calendar just because we like to just observe that holiday fully. And so I was in Ramadan for the past month.
Oh no, hey, it's all good. Like I say, man, the timing is perfect timing now. It don't really matter about what didn't happen.
Amen.
You know, it did happen. So, and I just want to thank you for coming on, giving us your time. You know, once again, like
No
I always
problem. Thank
say,
you. Thank you. And you know what? If you message me back, what you could do in your show notes is I can include a coupon code for your audience, and they can get 10% off any services as well.
okay, sure. And like we always say on the show, though, man, we're good at success. If everybody around you is still struggling, so you know, each one reach one, each one teach one, and you are definitely doing
Amen.
that. You are definitely doing that. So I just want to thank you for coming on, Miss Sin. Thank you, thank you,
No
thank you.
problem. No problem. Let me know if you need me again.
Oh no, hey, we might have to come double back soon though. But
All
thank you,
right,
thank you,
we
thank you.
down. No problem.
All
You guys enjoy your day.
right, you have a good one.